Welcome back to the Weekend Handyman. This time around, I'm doing another RC car video. This will be part 4 of Project Flatbed 50, which, if you haven't already known, guessed, or whatnot, is a project of building a scale F350. If you want, you can go check in the top left up there. There'll be the usual, annotations to click back through the older videos. In the description, I will also have a link to the build thread on rccrawlerforum.com, where you can go and see all the older pictures and whatnot, as opposed to just going back to the videos. But let me swing you around a little bit. What I have done since the last one is the body is actually painted now. I went ahead and painted it using the actual, color match spray paint that was the actual colors that came on the Harley-Davidson Edition F350. It was red and black. Let me see if I can find you the exact colors. The red is a cardinal red, and the black is just a universal black. And then I had covered it, or topped it off with duplicolor clear coat. And under that is, of course, a nice primer. But that's what I did. I had taken the body and actually went down. Better look at it here. I went down and actually had wet sanded it. Took all of the rough edges out of it. Of course, where the sticker was along here needed to be sanded off. And I made sure it was nice and smooth. And then I primed it, and I had actually wet sanded the primer as well, so it's nice and smooth. I'm not going to be putting a sticker back on here. I don't think the liquid the sticker, and I think it was really more to cover the fact that the line and the way the plastic was coated originally was not clean, so they just used a sticker. But I have gone, body's all primer or painted up, smooth, and ready to go. And of course, I have the front put together as before in the previous video. I believe the front end was all taken apart, and since then it has tow hooks in the spot, and I have LEDs in all the spots where the lights go, which is why there's wires hanging out of it. So I have all the wiring for the LEDs in there, which I'll show you later. This is what the back of it looks like, all painted up. You can't really see in the film, but it is a little bit rough around the edges in here, but my plan is to have a flat bed, and there'll be a headache style rack that comes up here, so you won't really see much of this, but I mean, in the picture or the video that I'm looking through, it looks much better than it does in real life, but it's a nice clean line across. I made sure to cover all the windows nicely. That's just a little dust, but windows were all nice and covered, so there's no paint cut on there. But that's what I did there. I used the original screws that came on the model to hold the front nose on. Of course, you already know about the tow hooks. And then these up here for the red LEDs for the cab. That was what came stock on the toy truck version. Was just a red plastic insert that went up through the cab. And of course, the original toy didn't have them light up, but of course, I have to have them make them light up. So let's get down, and I'll hook up the LEDs and I'll show you what they look like. So this is what she looks like, all nice and lit up. Of course, I have the two fog lights down here. I got both headlights right here and here hooked up, and then of course I got the cab lights around the top. Right now I'm currently just having it powered by, just an all battery pack with my Wrestler, but that's how she'll look. If you're wondering, yes, I will have brake lights as well, but of course I have to get the body attached to the chassis and build the flatbed before I can figure out what I want to do with the for tail lights and whatnot, but they'll be red, of course. Let's take a better look at the wiring. So what I've done is I've set you up better to see the wiring. I'm going to hold up the body for you, but it's pretty simple, relatively, if you have any understanding of wiring, I guess. But basically, there is one wire. Oh, God damn it. There is one wire that carries all of the power, and it has a split off to go to the first set of LEDs right here. And then it continues on and goes to the second set of LEDs up in here. And then there's one wire that covers all of the grounds. So it runs all the way this way, up along the side, and then it goes to the other set of LEDs up here. And then these two power leads, of course, come, or will at some point come down the body back here and down the side to get to my switch. Now, if you're wondering a little bit further, I had picked up a box of these LEDs off eBay. I believe it's probably some Chinese guy who grabs a box of them when he's at work, working the factory with his little tiny Asian hands. But when you order this, wait a second. Of course, I have to have Butterfingers. When we order them, they'll come with a pack of all the right resistors, and then it'll, depending on what you get, you could get all the same color, but I got a variety pack that has all red ones. There's blue, and then there's green in here. I think there's one other color, but it's not important. White and red is what I'm worried about. But the way it works is, hold on. I believe the long side of the LED is the positive, which is where you hook power to, and then you just hook the resistor onto there, onto the long side, and then the resistor goes to the power, and then you ground out the short side, obviously. Now, there's a few different ways you could do it. You could do it in parallel, which is the setup that I have. You could run it all in series, and I would explain to you the math and etc. stuff like that about what resistor need to do, but the way I have it, it works. It was simple enough for me to do. What else can I tell you about? In the wiring, now I'm thinking about it again, it might look real messy, but what I had done is took RTV and covered up all of the solder joints. I do have a shrink wrap tube, which goes over all of the resistors ends on there to cover that up, but I took a step further and went and used RTV on all the joints. So it might look messy, but trust me, it's better off this way, so I keep all water and any weather or anything that's out of there, so I keep the wiring from shorting out and breaking apart and stuff like that. I had just used, normal RTV, nothing special. I brushed it on with a model paintbrush. It's a waste of a paintbrush if you wanted to go and do it yourself, but I have about 100 model paintbrushes, so it's not a big deal for me. So I think that is that I've done with the body. I'll flip it over to get a good look at it again. But paint came out real good, real good. I'm real proud of the paint. If it chips, I could just use model paint on it. And I will actually use the truck. It's not just for show. It's not just a shelf piece. So, it's going to get scratched and stuff like that, which I'm expecting, which I think will add a nice effect to it over time. When I actually use it and, rub up against rocks and stuff like that, it'll look like, it's actually used in off-road situations. But, let's zoom over here, and I'll clear this out of the way for you. This is the interior, which will be the next project that I have to do. The reason I have brought out the interior, of course, was because that's where I mounted my switch. So, if we bring it back over to the truck, when this interior is up under the truck, the switch will be on the left side. So all I'll have to do is reach around the bottom of the truck, and then I'll just be able to flip the switch. Just like that. I believe the switch is something that came with one of my Traxxas trucks. One of the nitro ones, of course. Probably the Revo. When I converted over to electric, it's probably an extra switch that I had. But it worked out good. It's in a nice place. What's going to end up happening here is there'll be a seat that covers this, because this is actually where the transmission pops out of from the chassis. So there'll be a bench seat across here. You won't see anything that's under there. so that'll work out nice and well. If you don't remember, this is what the interior looks like right now. But that's that. Let me pull up the chassis so we could reminisce about what that looks like. It's been a while since I've showed it. So this is the chassis. If you have followed the series at all, you'll have already seen this, but for anybody that's new to the channel, the project, etc., maybe you're coming here out of nowhere, just this happened to be the first video you saw, but this is the chassis that I had built for it. Well, I didn't build it, but I've modified an SCX-10 chassis to fit my needs. That needs to go up there. But this is what it looks like. I have motor mounts and a servo mount there for the servo, which fit nice between the frame rails. If you're wondering, these are actually Cmrc Axles off their mini crawler, not their micro crawler, the mini crawler, which is what MRC stands for. Mini rock crawler. But at some point, that body will be mounted on there, and across the back, of course, there'll be a nice flatbed. Now, if you're wondering, that actually isn't a 10th scale body. I know the SCX-10 is actually a 10th scale chassis, but that body is actually more like 12th-ish scale, which is why I had to go with MRC axles as opposed to stock SCX-10 axles. And yes, those are leaf springs that I made there. Well, I didn't really make them. I made the suspension mounts for them, the leaf spring mounts rather. But these leaf springs are, I believe, off of a Tamiya F350 kit. But they actually do work, if you're wondering. And of course, again, the front is a linked style suspension, like this SCX-10, but that works as well. But yeah, that's that for this part of Flatbed 50. Again, make sure you check the annotation up in the top left, so you can go back and watch the videos. And by all means, definitely make sure, if you can, check out the build thread that I'll have in the description, because you can get a much better look and more detailed look at the pictures as opposed to what you can see in the video. And I assure you won't be disappointed. So, thanks for watching. Hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. This is a long, ongoing project. Peace.